Hello, David here at merchantaccounts.ca. Today I'm tackling the topic of what is the Canadian Code of Conduct for the credit card processing industry. Stay tuned, we'll dig in 1 second. So the Code of Conduct is something that got implemented in Canada because credit card processors, unfortunately, just were not treating merchants right. And it's worth saying it wasn't every credit card processor, but there were some particularly, call them bad eggs, that had some really unethical and unfair practices, both around pricing, around like contracts and confusing contracts that would be unfair to merchants. So the Canadian government stepped in and created a standard that all credit card processors in Canada must now follow. But let's dig in. So the way that it cleaned up the act of some payment processors was around contract renewals. So something that some processors did is they would stick merchants on these really long-term contracts, and they'd make it really hard to cancel. Like, hey, you can send your notice of cancellation, but you have to do it within 30 days of the expiry of your contract. So if you were on a 3-year term, at the end of those 3 years, you'd have like this 30-day window when you could send in your cancellation notice. And if you didn't do it, you would be auto-renewed for another 3 years or something. It was really pretty unfair. And now that's been addressed because the longest that your contract can be renewed for now is 6 months. And if you want to cancel, you can provide notice of that at any time during your contract. So if you started today and you were on a 2-year contract term and you emailed your processor tomorrow saying, hey, at the end of my 2 years, I want to cancel, you're golden. You can do that. So it made it a lot easier and a lot more merchant friendly. But probably the best changes were all around pricing. So there used to be a very popular pricing model called qualified and non-qualified pricing, and it was extremely misleading. Now it's worth mentioning, I like to mention at merchantaccounts.ca, we never had that pricing practice. We only ever had flat pricing, or we have interchange plus pricing. Qualified and non-qualified pricing, and I have other content on the channel about it. The short version is merchants got offered a rate that sounded amazing, 1.49%, and then they would never actually be able to pay it. It was very merchant unfriendly. And so one of the things the Code of Conduct fixed is when you apply, on the very first page of your merchant agreement, there's a summary box. That summary box has a whole bunch of really relevant, really important information that you're going to want to have. First of all, it'll show you the effective rate for every single card type that you'll process. Now, there are Visa standard cards, there are Visa Gold cards, Visa Infinite, MasterCard Core, MasterCard Infinite anyways, there's lots of cards. I don't have to name them, that doesn't help you. There's lots of fancy cards. You want to know if somebody walks into your store or goes to your website with an expensive card, how much it's going to actually cost you. You really need to pay attention to that summary page, which also includes other relevant information, like the duration of your contract term in plain English, the monthly minimum, if you're going to be charged a monthly minimum, and any other administration fees. So that's made it so much easier for you to negotiate effectively, because when you get your application paperwork, look at that summary page. If it's not saying what you expect, don't sign it, don't send it back. Another thing around pricing that's being done is you get a minimum 90 days notice for any new fees. So if your credit card processor is going to increase your rate, first of all, they have to tell you at least 90 days ahead of time. Secondly, when they do, and this is probably the best thing of all in the Code of Conduct, is when you get a notice of a rate increase, you can walk away penalty free. It doesn't matter if you have 3 years remaining on your contract, it doesn't matter anything. You can get out. Now, the only exception to that is interchange plus pricing, because with interchange plus pricing, it's not actually your credit card processor increasing your content on interchange. I don't want to get too deep into it here, but Visa and MasterCard set the costs to payment processors across Canada. So at the time of recording this, a Visa Core card, including the assessment fee, is 1.5%. It's just a point of reference. If Visa was to adjust that up to 1.6%, we can't stop that. That's coming from the card brand. So you can't cancel if there's an increase in interchange, but if your payment processor marks up your rate even one more penny, you can walk away absolutely penalty free. And another good tip directly related to that, interchange plus pricing still provides benefits, because if interchange is lowered, because sometimes Visa and MasterCard lower interchange fees. By the way, this is addressed once or twice per year. But if they lower it and the cost savings aren't passed on to you, guess what? Once again, you can cancel completely penalty free. It's an amazing benefit. Now, I will say that there are some other elements to the code of conduct which are more retail and point of sale based. This is more for point of sale machines. I'll give you an example. If you want to accept Visa credit cards but not Visa debit cards, because if somebody's paying with a debit card, you would prefer the payment to be on an Interac debit card, you can do that. You get to choose which type of cards you can accept. The card brands and your credit card processor cannot dictate that to you. Another point of sale item is you can now offer discounts for different payment types. So back in the day, there was some arguments back and forth, I should call it, about can you offer a discount for cash payments? Well, the answer is yes. You can do anything you want with any type of card type or payment type, even cash that you want, which empowers you as a business owner. There are some other point of sale related stuff, but merchantaccounts.ca, we're an e-commerce payment processor. That's going to be the focus on this video. Heading towards the summary, the real wins are clear explanation of all the fees right on the front page of the contract. That is worth its weight in gold. Your contract cannot automatically be renewed on a long-term contract. And most importantly, you can walk away completely penalty-free if you ever have your rates increased. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it clarified a little bit of what the Code of Conduct means. And it is a very empowering tool for Canadian merchants. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day there. Bye now.